Welcome back to Business Champions, where we highlight leaders who are making a big impact both locally and worldwide. I'm Morgan Young, and today I'm joined by Paul Lajoie with BizBuyPro and Phil Whitman with Whitman Transition Advisors. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you, Morgan.
Yes, so Phil, let's hop into it. Tell us a little bit about what you do with Whitman Transition Advisors.
Sure, and thanks again for hosting me here. At Whitman Transition Advisors, we help CPA firms across the country with their growth strategies, and we're typically doing that three ways: through merger and acquisition, talent acquisition, building advisory service offerings.
Fantastic.
Nice. I like it. Give me a little bit of background on how you guys started.
Yeah, so it was 17 years ago. I was the chief operating officer of a top 25 firm in the country. We were doing about 100 million in revenue. There were 48 partners, 400 people. And one of the things that I was doing was bringing opportunities to our firm for potential merger. And I always gravitated towards the HR, the human resources at our firm, hiring of lateral partners and other talent. And a series of life events put me on a path that, it's a very long story for another time, but I was sort of looking at trying something new. And I reached out to one of my now clients because one of my former partners called me up and said, "Hey, Phil, I've grown since I left the firm. I merged with two other guys. We're three partners doing 3 million. We've got 12 people, and I can't take on another client. I'm having trouble hiring people." And I called this managing partner. I said, "Hey, I've got someone who is interested in merging. Would you be interested in speaking with him?" And he said to me, "What are you doing? You're the COO of a top 100 firm." And, I said, "Oh, I'm just trying to help a friend." So it all started out just trying to help someone. And when I told someone this story, they said, "This is what you should do. You're one of us." And the reason that gentleman reached out to me, not only because, he was a former partner at my firm, but because I was the practice management oversight chairman at the New York State Society of CPAs. So every month I was meeting with managing partners of the largest firms in the New York tri-state area.
Okay. So, question. So you're working with CPA firms. What is their biggest bottleneck and or roadblock for them growing, in your opinion?
It's certainly talent. During the pandemic, there were more than 300,000 professionals that left public accounting. They decided to do something else. The truth of the matter is, for most people, they see, whether you're a tax professional or an audit professional, long hours, especially, if you think this time of year, we're at March 31st, we're 15 days away from, the April 15th deadline, and they're pulling out all stops to get the work done, working late at night, some firms 7 days a week. You would think that most of them would be done and have their, clients on extension. But talent has been the number one challenge for firms of all sizes, probably for the past 5 to 10 years running. So much so that firms are now going offshore to fulfill those talent roles.
Is it entry-level talent coming straight out of school, or mid-level managers, or both, or where are we missing there?
So I don't think it's necessarily entry level, but the challenge with entry level is so much of the offshoring, which will create greater margins. A lot of firms are going to India for the compliance work, for the preparation of the tax returns, which means what do they need here on the U.S. side? They need manager level people who could review those tax returns. And that's tough to find because what typically happens is the big four firms hire more than 75% of all accounting students that graduate from universities. Now, I started at Price Waterhouse, and what I can tell you, that was when there was a big eight. And we worked, we used to joke, we'd say, oh, I worked 49 days straight, and, I've, broken the record as to how many hours, a staff person can have. The younger generations, the millennials and the Gen Xers, Gen Y, they don't want to do what the baby boomers did, which is really sacrifice their lives in this profession. So I would say talent at the mid-level and above is very scarce. And I think CPA firms need to learn how to educate younger folks that are coming out of college, because a lot of that compliance work that they used to do is no longer required. So both education and training in firms must change.
100%. And we're almost out of time. So, Paul, did you have anything else you wanted to ask Phil before we wrap it up?
No, that was it. That's good stuff, Phil.
Yeah, Phil, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your insight and your expertise. We really do need better education for young people as they're entering the workforce. And it's definitely a gap that we're seeing, and it is affecting local businesses and really massive companies across the nation. So thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Business Champions. If you guys want more information about Paul with BizBuyPro or Phil, head on over to dailynewsnetwork.com and we have all their information right there. We'll see you in the next episode of Business Champions.
BizBuyPro supports individuals through the acquisition process in many ways. First and foremost, we can find a business for you. You come to us and you give us the parameters geographically, size, like maybe 2 million in revenue, and maybe an area. You want to be a plumbing contractor, and we'll go find that for you. I think really the most important thing from BizBuyPro is after you find that business, working through the valuation, how much you're paying for it. As I always say, you don't make money when you sell, you make money when you buy.